This is our October meeting. Before I start, I welcome our new CEO, Mr. Terry Dodds. And Terry's hit the ground running, and welcome, Terry. And I know that you've been all over the place in the last couple of weeks, and I commend you on that. And I hope the council didn't annoy you too much last Sunday with the overtime. That's good. And I know you've got one councillor to meet, so I do wish you well, mate. And thank you for accepting the job, and I do wish you well into the future. And we look forward to a happy and good, strong relationship, and for the benefit of our whole tribe. I know I have the support of the whole council, and our senior staff are saying that, so welcome. Okay, councillors, our opening prayer. We give thanks for the contribution by pioneers, early settlers of those important and various laws for the fabric of Tenterfield community we have today. May the words of our mouths and the meditation of our hearts be accepted in thy sight, O Lord. Amen. Acknowledgement of country. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land that we're meeting on today. I would also like to pay respect to the elders both past and present of the Juckable, Kamilaroi and Bundjalung nations, and extend that respect to other Aboriginal people present. Councillors, apologies, we do have one from Councillor Forbes. Can I move in a second, please, to accept that apology? Councillor Brian Murray, thank you. Second, please. Councillor Mike Creekby, thank you. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Disclosures and declarations of interest, councillors? None? Councillors, confirmation of our previous minutes. With respect, councillors, we have three minutes that we've dealt with over the last September and October. Are we happy to move them all as one? Yeah? Okay, can I have a move in a second to do so? Councillor Bob Rogan, thank you. Second, please, Greg Sawyer, thank you. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you, councillors. Councillors, tabling of documents. Do we have a response from Mr. Barnum Joyce's office to do with the motion that went through here recently? And I commend our federal member for the prompt reply and the advice in that correspondence. And we will be following that up to go to the New South Wales government with the similar request, because that's the advice we've been given. So I do table that as documents. I'm sorry, what is it? This one? So I apologise. And the other one to do with the memo of the applications to go on the two committees is the Parks and Gardens and Arts and Culture. There, I tabled that one too, councillors. Is that what that is? Okay. Can I move in a second that those documents be tabled, please? Councillor Tom Peters, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Gary Berry, and I thank you. All in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, councillors. We have no urgent or late supplementary items of business, councillors? No? Councillors, we do have a speaker with our public access session. Mr. Stuart Bell will speak on the notice of motion. There is a video of that, councillors, and I spoke to the mover of the notice of motion. Councillor Berry is happy for that notice of motion to stay where it is in the business paper to share with the councillors. If it was a planning matter or a DA or something, it's quite appropriate to move it forward, and we have done that plenty of times. But it's a notice of motion, and the councillor is happy to leave it where it is in the business paper. There will be a video played to do with that motion after it's moved and seconded. I hope you're happy with that, that we do that then, and we'll deal with it as we go. So, Mr. Bell, I'll ask you to come forward, and councillors, please stand and welcome Mr. Stuart Bell to our chamber. Thank you. Thank you, councillors. Welcome, Mr. Bell, and as we always do, you have 5 minutes.
I have 5 minutes.
You have 5 minutes. And
you're lucky I've only got 5 minutes.
That's, and to speak on, you are speaking on the notice of motion,
yep.
And I will give you a bell when it's 1 minute left. But welcome and all the best.
Thank you. Well, I'm here to talk about Garrett's motion about the canopy walk. I see it as something that's a very big vision, and it's going to be something that's going to take up multiple levels of government, and in that it's a difficult thing to achieve. But I just want to talk about for us and our journey, my wife and my journey coming to this region 7 years ago, and what brought us here and why this is so important to what we think is our future, to particularly that northern area of Tenterfield. We left a rural area Western Queensland 17 years ago because we were very concerned at that stage about education and those sorts of things. But one of the things that underlay our decision was that we always felt that agriculture on its own is getting more and more difficult as a source of income. And when you're out there, an off-farm income is nearly impossible. And just to give you an idea, we just noticed on the news a couple of nights ago, they talked about the 10 poorest postcodes in Australia that the tax department's put out, and this is underlying the effects of a drought, but it also gives an indication. All 10 of those were from an agricultural area, and most of those were in places that only relied on agriculture. They were my old home, Tilba, they were Mungalala, they were all those places. And so what I'm saying is the future that I came to when I came to this area was a future where there were better educational opportunities for my kids, there were better work opportunities for Wendy and I, we were both teachers. But in the long run, we gave up teaching because we wanted to pursue an off-farm income that basically wasn't off-farm. We tried to say, look, we can't run a 4,000 acre property and be weeding every day. And on top of that, we were in an area where land prices are getting higher because of the location as much as productivity, so buying extra land was difficult, probably nearly impossible when you look at the economics of it. And we are in an area where over the 17 years that we've been there, property sizes are just inexorably getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So people are more and more searching for that second form of income. And what we did is we said, okay, what are the attributes we've got in this place? And there's a lot of forest. And just to take you back, I remember talking to the agent and he said, Stuart, there's this open country here, there's a lot of bloody forest there. And I said to him then, I said, look, I can see a time in the future when that forest is going to be as valuable to us as the open country where our cattle run. And he said, what do you mean? I said, it's the lights just over on the coast. And essentially in the 17 years we've been there, those lights have drawn people. People are coming. And in our experience of what we created, we've set up a campground there and we put a lot of work into it, and you can talk to the council. We pushed and pushed to do everything exactly as it had to be done, so it was done properly. But the scary part of doing that was that the people weren't coming. We had to take that leap of faith and say, we will build it and they will come. And we had to hope like bloody hell they came, and they did. And we're very pleased with the first 2 years of operation. But essentially, when you've got a business or an industry, if council can play a part with state government and with Commonwealth government and multi-councils, in this case would be Kyogle, I would guess, and Southern Downs as well as Tenterfield, can play a part in bringing the people, so the people are already coming. The businesses that grow off that are a lot safer to build. And essentially, they'll probably be better finance and become better businesses. There's a tendency, if you've got no one coming and you're taking that leap of faith, is to cut corners and say, we'll fix those corners up once the people come. But if we can get something like this canopy walk going, the people are coming. And from that, people say, well, I will set up a B&B, or I will set up a farm stay, or I will set up, and it provides what I think is so important, unfortunately, for the land. I mean, the difference between what we're doing in camping and what we do in agriculture is the difference between the gross and the net. You can make a big net of gross in agriculture and it tends to just disappear somewhere down cattle's throats. And with the other option, there's while I would say the gross is nothing like what we make in our farming, there's not the same sort of money comes out. So it's become an essential part of our future. And we look at our business now as not an agricultural business, but an asset that has multi-dimensions. And one of those is the forest, which we and did initially use for logging, and we don't anymore because it is far more sustainable, far more economically productive for us to have people wandering through it and camping in it. And so there's a lot of land like that in that northern section. It's probably everywhere. But I just wanted to point out, as someone who's taken that leap of faith, what an important thing something like this canopy walk would be, because it provides that central pillar upon which everything else grows. And people aren't building it themselves. You've provided some sort of impetus for people to start turning up. And one of the interesting things, I mean, Gary and I talk a lot, probably too much for Gary, but just about tourism, because it's become a big part of our life and what we can do and how we can improve it. And we always see that it is better for us to have more people doing it than less. We don't want to be the only people doing this, because I think if you get more people doing it, it becomes a location. Like the Hunter Valley people think wine. I think ecotourism and that area, and possibly all the way down here, can be seen when people talk about it. They can say we see ecotourism, we see forests, we see cafes, we see these things in our head, and just like Stanfield, people see wineries, and I think that can be a really big part of the future of what we wouldn't have done what we did if we didn't think we had something to offer. And on top of that,
1 minute.
1 minute, okay. On top of that, one of the great assets that the area has is national parks. And I was talking to a national parks officer only yesterday, because we've got a national parks next door, and I'm trying to get a free fence from them. They're not free, I've got to put it up. But, and I was talking to him about coming here today, and he was saying, you know, that what we've done there, which is basically a partnership with the parks, is that part of what we do is people go in there, they don't drive in there, but they walk in there and they mountain bike in there, is something that they really want to see happen. And they see something, he said, if people like what you're doing can say to the world, parks have value, it helps everything that they're trying to do with funding, with fire regimes, with spending more money to make sure that bloody things don't burn down in the middle of summer. All of those things happen if we can make value of the parks. And he said, what you're doing and also what's happening here is really up in the ante. We're saying we have a valuable asset here in this part of the Shire and throughout the whole Shire, and we're trying to get as much out of that. And just one thing to conclude is, one of the most amazing stats, talking to Gary about this, is there's apparently at Dorrigo 90,000 people come to Dorrigo. It's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, those people aren't driving for a day and going on the walk and going again. They drive a long, long way to see that. If you look at where this has been proposed, it's almost viable to make, especially as the roads down that end get better, particularly it's more the Queensland roads, but it is a day trip and it becomes a double-edged thing. You've got people coming in and going again, and you've got people who want to stay and people who keep coming through. And as this road, you know, we've just come in through the Mount Lindesay today and seen the extra bitumen, and as that gets completed, it just drags people further south. And that's what's happening in our camping. We have quite a few people coming and going. A lot of people go down here, a lot of people go to Bundaberg, a lot of people do the full section. They want that experience. So I'm just wanting to say that so I can say I've spoken on behalf, to that nation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. I will allow a couple of questions. Councillors, is there any questions for Mr. Bell? I'll allow a couple. Councillor Bromley, please.
Thank you. Stuart, which side of the national park are you? Are you on the west or the east?
We are on the eastern side.
Okay.
The Queensland borders the western end.
Right.
This is the Maryland part.
Yeah, and so is it the Kyogle National Parks who control that area? Because I don't think it's...
No, it's Tenterfield.
Right.
And Tenterfield are just about to take on Cataract, I heard yesterday too.
Okay, because it's just, with Dorrigo National Park and their boardwalk, the problem, it was built, you know, and it's going to offset all the dramas of Dorrigo losing so much of their timber industry. But it's built to the east of Dorrigo. And so these, 70,000 visitors before my church, I'm doing 40, but anyway, so they are day trippers who come up from, they go to Coffs Harbour or whatever, and they stay and up they go. But very few of them drive extra 10 k's into Dorrigo, so that community doesn't get a lot of benefit from it.
My question to that is Dorrigo doing enough to attract them? 10 kilometres, why aren't they coming?
Well, they are, but it's difficult because people go, yeah, give me, I'll head back down. But, and that's why I was just wondering which side you
No, I'm actually not.
To go to Woodinville North?
Yeah, that's a fair question.
Yeah, and I'm not actually next to this park. We're actually 60 k's from this park, but we believe that something like that, we've got people who come and are happy to drive an hour from our campgrounds, and we've got people staying up to 14, 15 days. It's not what we expected to happen, but that is what's happening. We expected, when we did the budgets on this, we thought an average of a day and a half a visit because people would stay one night or two. We've got regularly people staying 5, 7, up to 15 nights. And so they do a lot of travel and they're willing to drive that 70 kilometres that and that's just people that are coming to stay and to experience. And it's not like they come once. The people that are staying that length of time, they do the same thing again and again. They go out and visit. They come to Tenterfield. They go to Stanfield. They go to Queen Mary Falls. They do all of that, but they do it on a regular basis. So it's changed our thinking of the value of the catchment beyond just a 10-minute drive. It shows us that these people are quite happy to drive an hour and a bit to come in here and to go back again. So not everyone does that, but a lot of people use it as a base and a long-term base. It really did surprise us. I have to say, as a farmer, I couldn't sit down for 40 days and survive. But these people do it regularly. And so when these things get talked about, we see the idea that, a lot of people visit the lavender farm, a lot of people want to go and have a coffee, but also it's the nature that really attracts them. And I just feel with the people that we talk to, for some reason they think it becomes a lot more important if someone's built something for them to walk on rather than they do it themselves. It feels like, we'll go and visit that. It's something people need to be led a little bit. And that's what these things do. As well as getting them up into the canopy, it is telling them it's an important thing. And it is. I mean, we went up there, we didn't quite make it because it poured rain, but we've been up there before just to have another look. It's a special place, but this whole area, when we came in, I had to go back to what we first found when we came here and we were looking for somewhere, and we were looking for somewhere with a multi-dimensional aspect to it as a business. We had to go back to that first thing. We've lived down on in Queensland, down on the Western Darling Downs, and I've taught I've been principal 9 or 10, 20 schools in there, and I came here, I didn't even know it existed. I came over that first hill, coming away towards Liston, and I'm thinking, I didn't know this was here. And most people don't. And it's a real thing that people want to experience. We just feel that.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. And
That's okay.
Councillor Petrie, I could happy to follow that up. I would presume that our local national parks group would control everything in our LGA.
It's not arranged.
Okay, they don't. Well, there you go. I didn't know.
That guy was a certain section.
Okay. Righto. Is there any other questions to Mr. Bell? Other questions? Mr. Bell, thank you very much. Okay. For you, just bear with me. I'm pretty good yet. For your talk this morning, and it's been very informative, and we share the same passion as you, and I commend Councillor Berry for bringing that forward. We'll work through it. I do invite you and your lovely wife to stay around for morning tea, sit and witness the vigorous debate that we do as a council, and the mateship that's shared in this room. But I do invite you if you have time to stay around.
No one's going to do a Christopher Pine and then crosses the floor and run for the door.
But anyway, thank you, and I'm sure the other councillors will. But thank you, Mr. Bill. Okay, councillors, we'll move on with our business paper, and we'll start on page 7, and it's item COM 10/17. It comes from our corporate and governance community. Can I move in a second, please, to deal with this item? Councillor Brett Sawyer, thank you. Second, Councillor Mike Petrie, and I hand over to our corporate officer, Kylie Smith. Oh, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, Council, we have our monthly information report on the various sections in community and governance and corporate section, and more than happy to take any questions that Council may have on that information report.
Councillors, the reports are there in front of you. Any questions to our officer to do with the report? No questions? All happy to receive and note? All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Councillors, we move on to page 14 in your hard copy. It's item COM 11/17. It's Australia to do with the Australia Day Awards. Can I move in a second here, please? Councillor Broden, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Bronwyn Petrie, and I thank you. And I'll hand over to our Chief Officer, Mr Terry Dobbs.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Mr Mayor. I've actually asked Chief Corporate Officer to speak to this.
I apologise, Cobb. I just said at the top, no, fine.
Not a problem.
You can share it with me.
Certainly not trying to tread on any toes or take it away. So we have a recommendation there that we call for the nominations for the 2018 Australia Day Awards in the following categories as outlined, being Citizen of the Year, Young Citizen of the Year, Emergency Services Volunteer of the Year, Sportsperson of the Year, Young Sportsperson of the Year and Community Event of the Year. The second part of the recommendation is that the nominations for the 2018 Australia Day Awards open on Monday the 30th of October 2017 and close on Friday the 15th of December 2017, and that the judging by the Australia Day selection panel to be undertaken in the council chambers at 10 a.m. on Thursday the 4th of January. We have had a discussion, and I note too that Nolene actually went to Adelaide to attend the Australia Day Council seminar down there where they were discussing how we could further promote Australia Day and encourage that right across the country. So I commend Nolene's expertise to that particular group when they're having their conversations, and open that up for any questions that people may have.
Before I take any, ask for any questions on the floor, I do support Kylie in the comments and Noel for your involvement in that conference down there. I think that's fantastic. And in our brief meeting yesterday to do with their business paper, it's something that we are going to work harder on this year as far as advertising and encouraging organisations to nominate people for this. Last year it was noted that we were a bit disappointed, not in the quality, but just in the quantity, that the number of applications. I do commend the councillors who do put their hand up and sit on that panel. It's a big job, and in a busy time of the year with Christmas and the New Year, so it's something that we'll see a big improvement on. I know. Any questions to our officer to do with this report? Councillor Robert Whitby, yeah?
Just an old report music this year, I think I'd like to, you know,
Ah,
for the end.
righto. Councillor Gary Murray.
On that, I know how we can get publicity, even though it's not good publicity, is we do what some of the other councils have done and change it to 27th or 25th or something stupid like that.
You won't have a supporter of me, Councillor Murray.
Or me.
Okay, more questions to our officer? Councillor, the recommendations there. All happy to support the recommendation? Favour? Against? Carried. Councillors, moving to page 17. Your hard copy, it's item COM 12/17. It's to do with the two committees and our nominations. Can I have a mover and seconder here, please? Councillor Sawyer, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Berry, and I thank you. And I'll hand over to our Governance Coordinator, Corporate Officer, Kyle.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. So here we actually have a report to council with the officer's recommendation. So you'll remember formerly council wished to include a Parks and Gardens and a Cultural Committee in the committee register. So that was actually adopted at the meeting of July. That resolution has been acted upon, staff and nominations have been called for the formation of both of those committees. Council has also elected their representatives to those committees. So now we're actually at the point of endorsing the applications that we have received today and seeking from council concurrence to continue to advertise, in particular for the cultural committee, which probably doesn't have or hasn't received a large response today, to try and make sure that we do have people elected to that committee that can provide some support to council. So there is a recommendation in the business paper. I'd like to draw your attention to the memorandum that was sent around on the 23rd of October. There is a suggested amendment to that recommendation in there, which I would encourage any councillor to put that up, which endorses, so that's section 2. So the first part of the recommendation is endorse the nominations received from Mrs Margaret Dow and Mrs Sue Jerd as community members of the Arts and Cultural Advisory Committee, and that these nominees be advised accordingly. Under section 2 is endorse the nominations received from Mr Jeff McKillop, Mr Stephen Goldthorpe, Mr Glenn Lamb, Ms Jan Evans, Ms Lexi Kemp and Ms Kerry Andrew as community members of the Parks and Gardens and Open Space Advisory Committee, and that the nominees be advised accordingly. and re-advertise for expressions of interest to fill the remaining community member vacancies on the Arts and Cultural Advisory Committee, and the delegated authority be granted to the CE to endorse those subsequent nominations.
Councillor, before I go to a question, so just to tidy up the business paper, with the memorandum, so that's, Kylie, that's going to be added on under 3, or this one takes over?
The number,
2, I'm sorry, yeah, 2.
that's correct.
Okay.
I'm happy to move them.
Yeah, I know, that was our last one. Thank you, Councillor Robert Perky. Do we accept that? Can I have a second to that? Councillor Greg Sawyer. All in favour? Councillor carried. Councillors, any questions to our officer to do with the report? Councillor Robert Perky.
Thanks, Polly. Just with Sue and Margaret, were you able to ascertain whether they were going to stay as individual people or whether they were going to be the board of arts reps?
At this point in time, no, we haven't been able to contact them, so that's what we have been actually asking. We've got a vacancy on that committee for borderline arts representatives, and we haven't at this point in time been able to establish whether those 2 persons are representing that particular organisation or whether they've come onto that committee as individuals. So we're just waiting for some advice, and they'll be allocated accordingly to those slots.
Councillor Sawyer.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Through you to Kylie. I was very concerned that not only 1 but 4 applications were lost in our system, and I hope that whatever caused that system failure has been reviewed and renewed, because that's totally embarrassing.
Yes, no, more than happy to agree. One of the issues that we have had is purely the leave of the officer for whom they were allocated to at that point in time, and we have conducted a review of the records and amended the system separately.
Thank you, Kylie, and thank you, Councillor, for your question. Councillor Brian Murray.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'd just like to raise a motion that this be put back for a period of time, because I know there's no terms of reference, because I don't particularly know what I'm voting for here. Without the terms of reference, I've got no idea.
Councillor, you made terms of reference to the committee.
To do with it.
The officer will explain that to you later. It's a fair question.
So at this point in time, it's actually an advisory committee, and at the meeting on the 26th of July, the council actually nominated, I guess, the broad functions of those committees. I'm just finding it so I can read it out. Is it? So on our committee register, we actually outline the function for each committee. And as such, it's up then to the committee, I guess, to determine how they wish to manage themselves, given the fact that they're not a statutory committee of council.
It'll be there, Colin.
Got the new one? Oh, that's it. This is the September 27th one. Maybe it's the fact that it's not in colour that's causing me concern.
Oh.
So the Parks, Gardens and Open Spaces Advisory Committee, the function of that committee is the purpose of the Parks and Gardens Advisory Committee is to provide recommendations and advice on council strategy to enhance our natural and urban environment. So that's the premise for which the committee has been convened. And as part of that process, I guess, is that they come together and provide whatever input, impart whatever advice they wish on issues at that point in time for council. So as such, that's the terms of reference and why the committee is constituted.
You happy with that reply, Councillor?
No,
Okay, cool.
and if I may, Mr Mayor, I've spoken to the GM on this
Yep.
just some time ago,
Yep.
but resuming back to 355 committees.
Yep.
Because I felt that the previous one, as we know, went to water, totally and utterly, and it hasn't worked. And I feel that it should be revolved back to, and this is why I'm asking for time. I'm happy to pass a motion that it goes back to our GM to find out what is going to happen with these committees. Are we going to resort back to 355 committees, or are we going to carry on the way we're going?
Right. Did you want to comment on that, Terry?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Councillor. At this stage, I think it's a little bit immature for me to comment on how the committees are going or not going, because I haven't had the purview of watching them in action and I haven't got enough recent history to be able to comment either positive or negative about them, so I'd have to leave it up to people who have had more history to make comment. But what I will say is that I'm not hesitant to change if there's consensus that there's going to be improvement. But I prefer to only make that change once if that consensus is true.
So Councillor, I'm sorry, Councillor Peter, I'll just deal with this and I'll come to it. Councillor Murray, with respect, you've indicated that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you're wishing to move a motion to defer a decision on this.
Yes,
For what reason? I am trying to help you with your wording.
because I'm fairly unhappy with the way it's structured at the moment.
So basically you're wanting to bring back the 355 committees, not an advisory committee.
Precisely.
Are you happy that that's the wording in this
Yes.
motion? Just bear with me, I'll deal with this as a procedure. Do I have it, and Councillor, please, as Nolene puts it up there, and out of respect, Councillor, because you have flagged that this is what you want to do I have a seconder? Councillor John McNish. So it's a motion to defer a decision. Councillor, just while that's going on, how do you now, Councillor Bromley?
Thank you.
Sorry.
Wait a minute, I'll deal with Councillor.
So
Is this to
I
do?
want to add
Yes,
to that.
yeah, I'm waiting.
Okay, Councillor, I apologise. Councillor Bromley, just bear with me. Councillor Murray, we'll tidy this up.
So it will be deferred until such time as the GM can come back and give us something more concrete on this.
On the structure of the
The
committees.
structure of the committees.
And the GM has spoke on that, so you need to respect his comments on that. Councillor Bromley, thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor and Councillor Murray. Because there was an identified void that Parks and Garden had been obliterated last November, and there was a need seen for the arts and cultural.
Yep.
We've already got these other committees
Yep.
that aren't section 355s, but they exist. So it would be my preference that we at least get these committees up and running, and then when we deal with the 355, these are the existing committees, these two new ones, in that decision making.
Yep.
If we don't make a decision on this one today, those committees won't exist at all. And at least if they're in place, then some work can start on those two issues. And meantime, we can have a foreshadowed motion that Councillor Murray has, rather than to defer this decision, but just a foreshadowed motion for the next committee meeting, the next council meeting, to make a decision on transferring our advisory committees back to 355.
Right. What I'm going to deal with this, and it is an amendment to defer, okay, and it does have a mover and a seconder. So, Councillor Pilgrimage. But what I do, and Kylie has indicated that, and Councillor Brian Petrie, you were there when we worked through the structure of the heritage, if you can remember, how that's set up, and as an advisory committee that everybody was happy with, and it was detailed with our town planner, we worked through that. I would indicate that these committees, and I support your comments, Councillor Brian Petrie, that I would think that when they first meeting, that then they would work through how it's going to be formed up. And you need to respect that it needs to have a structure. So it is that we're brought forward for a reason, going away from a 3-5 to an advisory committee. And that's saying with respect, Councillor, I appreciate your concerns, but we'll deal with this amendment. Before we do, Colin, did you want any comment?
I think the only comment probably was covered by Councillor Petrie, that the recommendation that is for Council's consideration in this report is to endorse the persons who have nominated
Yes,
to
that's
form
correct.
part of that committee, not necessarily to reform the committee. So we do have a resolution of the 26th of July to include those committees. So that's the intent of the report, which certainly doesn't preclude Council from making any other recommendations to bring forward reviews of that committee structure in future. But the report at this point only deals with the allocation of persons who have already applied.
And that's fair comment, because it's exactly what it is. Terry, did you want any comment just on the meeting procedure? That's where we are. Thank you.
Through Mr Mayor, the only comment I made to Council was that the OLG have got an opinion on the 355 committee structures. I know they've got an opinion. I'm not 100% familiar with what it is, but that would need checking as well. And mine, Councillor Alg, are here on the 15th of November. It might be an opportune time to obtain that information directly from them on that day.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Councillor, just bear with me. The advice we received from our officer and our chief officer is relevant to where we are. Collie's raised a very good point to what the report is about. It's about accepting these people. We've accepted the addendum, let's call it, with the names that were missed. There's been comment on that. Now, Councillor, I'll give you the opportunity if you want to continue with your motion to defer. And as the mover, I'm going to give you a chance to speak on that now.
Can I say again?
And Councillor, if you want to check.
Can I just get you to check the wording of the
Yeah.
motion?
On the structure of the council committees. I'm reasonably happy with that, Mr Mayor. The other thing, I can allay your fears through you, Mr Mayor, to the GM. I can allay your fears about the government's decision on that. These were brought about illegally. Council was misled on this. Absolutely. And it's still pending. So I can assure you that, and I've got the paperwork that proves as such, and I can tell the documents here today if you so desire.
Well,
This was brought about illegally.
legally,
Council was misled on this, totally and utterly.
well, you're making the allegation, Councillor, you need some information to support that.
I've got it. Do
That's
you want me to
fine.
table those
I
documents?
know, we'll deal, just bear with me. We're going to deal with your motion to defer. Okay?
Yeah,
You happy with that?
I'm yes.
Okay, now, is that, I'm going to take that you're speaking, as the mover, you get a chance to speak to this.
Yes.
So is that, I'm going to take that, is that you both? And then you'll get a closing comment.
Yes, I'm happy with that.
Okay. Councillor McNish, being the seconder, did you want to speak? Okay. Councillor, so going back, is there any other comment before I go back to Councillor, yes, Brian? Petrie, Councillor Brian Petrie?
Thank you. I just want to, while put sympathy for Councillor Murray's position, the decision to form these committees was already made back in July, and as partly as a result of Councillor Murray's eloquent speaking regarding the void in parks and open spaces, parks and gardens. So as I said, we've already got all these other committees already up and running as advisory committees. So it would be, I would vote against it because I want these committees up and running because there is a definite void there, as previously identified by Brian since November last year. Get these committees up and running with the membership, and then we can deal with whether they become 355s at either the November or December meeting. That would be my preference because that's in line. We've already agreed to the committees in July. Let's get these up and running so that people can start working on that rather than having further delays. And then if they have to become 355s, then we deal with it at the next order.
Before I go back to you, Councillor, I think it's relevant because of its motion, so we're speaking for and against. Okay, and you get your closing comment. I will go to Councillor Berry, then you, Councillor Swear. Councillor Berry.
I'd like to speak partly against the motion.
Which part?
It's written there, these committees, I'd like to change that to the Parks and Gardens Committee because the Arts and Culture Committee, we've always had trouble with before because we had high school kids on there that didn't always suit them to come. So with a 355 committee, we've got to meet a quorum with a
Advisory committee.
advisory committee. So I'd like to leave the Arts and Culture Committee as a advisory committee.
So what you're referring to, Councillor, just involves you as the mover and the seconder, to change your motion to defer, Councillor, just to the Parks and Gardens. Are you happy to accept that?
I'm happy to accept.
Okay. Councillor McNish is the second, you happy? Thank you. So that'll go in just the one committee of the Parks and Gardens and open, Parks, Gardens and Open Space Advisory Committee. You happy with that, Councillor?
Yes.
Okay, Councillor Sweet.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to speak against the motion and endorse Councillor Petrie's remarks. These two committees were properly constituted following a workshop report on the 11th of July. At our 26th of July meeting, we resolved that we would adopt those two committees. Councillor Murray and I are representatives on the Parks and Gardens. Councillor Veary and Petrie are on the Arts and Culture, supporting Councillor Petrie's motion. These committees are formed without representation inside those committees. They are not working. We need to get them working and resolve the issue of 355 rubbish later with a clear report in about that matter. We're dealing with a recommendation from our Chief Officer and we need to deal with that today.
Fair comment, Councillor. Councillors, I'll go back to Councillor Murray as the move the motion for closing comment. Councillor?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the importance of this is, and the whole idea of this was to bring the outstanding or the outlying villages on board. And council in their wisdom prior to this saw fit to abolish all that. And I note that there wasn't a letter of thanks from back to any of those people on that committee. And I think that was appalling.
Councillor, is that your closing comment?
That's my choice.
I'll put the motion, councillors, and it's there. The motion has been moved by Councillor Brian Murray, seconded by Councillor McNish, that to defer the formation of Parks and Gardens and Open Space Advisory Committee until such time as, what do you think, that can report back to council on the structure of the council committee. All in favour? Against? Motion's lost. So councillors, it'll go back to the officer's recommendation with the attachment. So all be aware of that. All in favour of the councillor of the officer's recommendation? Against? Carried. Thank you, councillors.
And when that will for the workshop, that's
Yep, good catch. Okay, councillors, we'll move on to page 20, copy. It's item CLM 13/17. It's the Art State Lismore. It's a conference. And I'll kind of move in a second here, please, to deal with this item. Councillor Mike Petrie, thank you. Second, please. Councillor Veary, and I thank you. And I'll hand over to our Chief Officer, Terry Dodds, to present this report. No, sorry, Kyle.
I apologise.
No, it's not you, it's me, Kyle.
So we have an officer's recommendation there that council endorse the attendance of Arts Northwest board member Councillor Gary Berry at the Arts State Lismore from Friday the 1st of December 2017 to Sunday the December 2017. So Councillor Berry currently serves as director on the boards of Arts Northwest and hence believe that that's probably appropriate.
Any comments, questions, councillors? Well, mine is before we put that up, and I thank you, councillor, for your continued support and your success as director on that, and maybe some money you need to declare after being a director on the Arts Northwest board. And I commend you on attending such things, Gary, because you've got a voice here and it's good that Tenterfield's represented, so I thank you. All in favour, councillors? Against? Carried. Okay, councillors, page 22, it's infrastructure and environment. Regulation is item EC 029/17. It's to report to do with infrastructure, engineering, planning, environmental services update. Item move in a second here, please. Councillor Sawyer, I thank you. Second, please. Councillor Rogan, and I thank you. And I hand over to our Chief Operating Officer, Wanda. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors. This report deals with the operations across Tenterfield Shire, particularly for the Office of Tender. It does go into a little bit of detail on what's coming up during October and November, specifically in the bridges, waste area and pertaining to Tenterfield Dam. You'll be aware from our extraordinary council meeting last week that we approved the awarding of a tender, or the awarding of a contract, I should say, to Lead Engineering and Construction Proprietary Limited for the upgrade of Tenterfield Dam. That, for your information, has occurred. So a contract has been awarded, and this afternoon is the first start-up meeting for that contract with the contractors. So basically, it's full steam ahead. So I'm open to questions pertaining to this report, and leave it to you.
Thank you, Andre. And councillors, questions to do with the report? To Andre, Councillor Mike Petrie.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know this is, I'm not trying to speak out of turn. This Tenterfield Blackwater dump point over at the showground. I was the secretary treasurer of the showground trust there for 13 years. And that DA that went in there wasn't for that dump point, I don't think. I think you'll find it's the one near the shower, near the grandstand. Now, behind, the general manager was, what was his name?
Yeah,
Jeff.
It'll come to me, man, keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff.
No, before you.
Yeah, Mark. Yeah, Mark.
Now we got it.
That's the man. And he come on the trust with us there for a while. And at the time, they were having trouble with people emptying their storage things out around the Rockfield parking area. And he said that he had to put one in, so he got permission off the trust to put that one in the ground where it is there, the one they were trouble with. And that's how it came to be then. The council, Mark Arnold put that one in. And I don't know, we're going to give any DA for that or what, but I know we put it in. The other DA we did put in was the one over there behind the shower, I think you'll find. If you look at, study the fine print, you go back to it, but that's going back to 1994 when I was there. I think I was 13, 14 years on that trust. I think that's just, don't think it's a real accurate recording of it. I think it's just worthwhile checking to get it right.
Councillor, I'll comment before I ask for, I want to make a comment with my involvement over there too, and no, I'm not on the trust, but definitely involved with the Show Society, you are correct. But to jump ahead where it is today, and I will support this with the meetings we've had with the trust, they have worked out a way forward, the dump point's going to get fixed, and a 12-month sort of a wait to see sort of an organisation, report on it. I think that the trust is pretty happy, and I think council's pretty happy. Recent I've been told in conversations. Andre, if you'd like to comment.
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Mayor. There's been a number of meetings with the trust, and we've worked out a way forward. And that way forward is that the existing dump point that's right near where most of the campers are,
yep.
As you come into the showrooms there, that will be upgraded with a facility that's hopefully a little bit more robust, and that will be managed by the trust itself. So people will not just be able to come in and have a carte blanche ride to get in and do whatever. There's been issues with vandalism there in the past, etc. So the way forward is that we'll have a managed facility there. So the showgrounds will take a bit of ownership, and they'll just evaluate the use of that over the next 12 months and give us some feedback as to how much it's being used, by the trust and its users, as opposed to the community who just, comes into the area and needs a point to basically get rid of their waste.
I was understood all that, but I just that there was never a DA. The trust never put a DA into that one. That was all I get. Just making a comment on it.
That's fair point, but
that's all I was commenting on. I know it's all under control now. Everybody's happy with it, but just the paperwork straight. That's all.
But I do commend Andre in the meetings that they have had, in the conversations with both parties. I've been kept up to date, and I commend the executive of the trust for a way forward, and I commend the staff that's dealt with this as a way forward. And I think it will be the best outcome for everybody. And over the next 12 months, they'll work out a system that's going to work, and hopefully it will be a good outcome for both parties. But I do take on board your comments, Councillor, and you are correct, there is 2 dump points there. So I noted that. Any other questions, Andre, to do with this report? Councillor Berry, then I'll go to you, Councillor Bromwich. Thank you.
Three questions, Mr. Mayor.
I'll allow Councillor
Through you. All
to do with the report.
Yeah, all about the dump. First of all, the 240 litre bins on the Mount Lindsay Road were returned. Have they been picked up, I should say? Have they been returned to the owners? The second one is, have we got any more news on Bunaboo landfills, what the expected life is? And the third one is commercial dumping of waste at Liston. People have been told they can't dump commercial quantities of waste there, as in from the tourist operators.
At the transfer station.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the council. Look, with regards to the 240 litre bins, I'm not aware of them having been returned. That's not to say that none have already occurred. There's something that we can just take on notice and check out for you. With regards to the life of the Bunaboo landfill, look, from what I've learned to date in pertaining to that landfill is that that landfill potentially has a life and I'll say the area, right, the area of the landfill potentially has a life of up to 50 years, right? That said, right, what we're dealing with at the present time is the existing landfill cell. Now, landfill cells, over the life of the landfill, you have to put in the number of cells. There might be 5, landfill cells each. They typically last 8 to 10 years of life, and then you've got to go and build a new one and spend, who knows, upwards of $5+ million to do the cell. That was the situation certainly in another council that I worked at. So you've got to have that sort of capital expenditure every so often during that lifetime. Now, right now, that's what we're having to deal with, is just deal with the life of the existing cell. The existing cell hasn't got a lot of life left in it. That's part of the reason for, it's mentioned in the report about the landfill, about doing a review of our waste management services and just how we move forward to delivering sustainable waste services to this community. Sorry, there was one other idea here. There's commercial dumping of waste listed. Now, look, that issue did come up. Can I say, at this point in time, because of the vagaries associated with what we've got on our, I suppose, advertised fees and charges, and what people have been led to believe they can do under custom and practice, we will continue to allow them to dump at the transfer station, right, this financial year. But there will be a move into the next financial fees and charges to make sure that the transfer stations are there for only normal household waste. It's not the commercial waste. The commercial waste providers will be encouraged to go to the landfill itself, because that's what typically happens in a lot of regional landfills that I've dealt with, and otherwise you're just dealing with double handling. It's not meant to be for that purpose.
Thank you, Councillor, and thank you, Andre, for your comments. Councillor Bronwyn, please.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Andre, I was just wondering what you think our chances are of getting that extension to the disaster funding for the flood damage. And secondly, the Drake footpath for that half block to the toilets on the Bruxner up towards the hall. Just wondering on a time frame for that, if that's been done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Through you, Mr Mayor. With extension to the disaster funding, look, I do not see that as an issue. As most of you councillors would be aware, we were one of the few parties that were a little bit late in being included within the disaster declaration. So we are going through the process of submitting a number of applications. There's already been 2 applications submitted. One is for the emergency works, the other one is for the, I think, the March declared event. And that was probably well over, close enough to $2.8 million. So that's been considered with RMS at this point in time, Roads and Maritime Services, and we'll hear more on that. So in terms of carrying out the work time frame, I think it's just an administrative issue that we'll deal with. With regards to the Drake footpath, now I know that was brought up a couple of months ago, and at one stage we looked at, look, is this something that we can accommodate in our existing operational plan of works for this year? We've had a look at it, and certainly it was our intention to try and do that, but I've looked at the work we've got ahead of us, and basically to do that work will be at the expense of works we've already got planned in the operational plan right now. So I would be saying to council right now, I'm not looking to try and expedite that bit of work at Drake ahead of other things that we've already got planned. Rather, what I'd be looking to do is work with my colleagues to try and get some grant funding for that particular element of work, along with the other work in and around Drake that pertains to upgrading the streetscape and dealing with the likes.
So the next time.
Councillor McNish.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just on that footpath, the acting GM at the time, Dave Walker, I think his name was, he asked me to ask the people of the Progress where they wanted it, what side of the street, blah, blah, blah. We found out where they wanted it, came back, told Dave, everything's fine. We told the Bronwyn and I told the people of the Progress, they're very happy about it. I got a phone call about 8-10 days ago from some chap at the Works Depot saying it's not in the budget, it won't be done. I rang back, he was on leave, and then after he hours something, I haven't actually spoken to him, but I did speak to Terry about it last week, and I think, we're given the expectation that it was in the budget, it was funded, and the people look forward to having it done. Now we're told that the road's been pulled out from underneath them, and it won't be done.
For a short time.
Well, yeah, okay. Second one, just on the central grader, Andre, there's no mention of Brian's Gap Road or Bunny Downs Road, which were both done in the last 2 weeks. I might add that they've done a brilliant job until it rained. And then, of course, Bunny Downs Road is going to become almost unpassable. So we've got to look at a urgent resheet there at some time. It's just there's too much clay there. When it's dry, no worries. When it's wet, it's virtually unpassable. And just like we're doing that causeway on Bellevue Road, really good job. I still got concerns about the length of time it took. And I was going to put a notice of motion in to find finance expense early. I won't worry about it because the job's done. But it is a very, very good job, but it did take a very long time. And that road was closed for over 3 months, which I don't think is satisfactory. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions, Andre, to do with the report, councillors? No, I join Councillor Michie, Andre, and briefly I do. So I think the councillors will be supportive in the detail of the report, and we have a big panel to cover, and with the all what we're informed of, that's all we asked as a council, and I think that's been done in this report. And do a very good job, and we've picked up pieces of a lot of things that probably weren't going so well. You've done a good job with that, and to get things back on track. I really mean that. Okay, councillor, reports there. All happy to receive a note. Against? Carried. Okay, councillors, we're moving to page 33. It's item CEC 030/17. It's a planning development update. I'll move to the second to deal with this one, please. Councillor Sawyer, thank you. Second by Councillor Murray, and I thank you. And I'll hand over to Andre to present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, this report is an overview of the status of where the planning applications process is at in our organisation. The format hasn't changed from last month. Just basically the data's been updated. Something I'm looking to do, probably next time round, is on page 37, you see there. You see how that there is just on the far right-hand side, financial year 17/18 monthly total. It just gives you the month. We're going to introduce a couple of columns there to introduce the cumulative year to date, so you can compare that figure with previous years. Because I think what you'll find is from month to month, you'll get a bit of variation in the relative comparisons between the previous year and the existing year on a month-to-month basis. So I don't read too much into that. What I do look is at the overall trend. Is it ahead of the game for the total of the shire, or is it well and truly behind? So that's just something that I'm foreshadowing with you. Other than that, I'm going to take questions.
Question to the officer to do the report, councillors. Councillor Berry.
Just one that's not in here. Have we put any applications on the horizon for the mobile phone tower around Irvine?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, not that I'm aware of, Councillor.
Councillor, just add to that in conversation with a federal member on Saturday, I did mention that, and it is the slowness that does concern me, and it concerns everyone. And I feel that although the funding's there from our state and federal government, the provider, be it whoever, be it Telstra, be it Optus, be it whoever, that seems to be a huge problem there, and they need to work on that, because they always say the funding's there, but the things aren't getting built, and that's a concern of not only this area, but a lot of other areas too. So I do commend you on that question, and it's not so much a council issue, but I'm happy to take that forward, in correspondence with the state, with our federal government, through Barnum. Any other questions, councillors, to do with the report? Or happy to receive a note? Against? Carried. Councillors, we'll do one more. Do you want to break the smoker?
Yes.
Right. So we'll do page 40, and it's item COV 72/17. Disclosures of interest returns. Can I have a mover and second here to deal with this item, please? Councillor Berry, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Mike Victory. and I thank you. And I'll hand over to Kylie to present this report. Thank you, Kylie.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. In accordance with section 458 of the Local Government Act, the General Manager must table disclosures of interest returns lodged by the 30th of September. So I've got a recommendation there that Council note the tabling of disclosure of interest returns lodged by the 30th of September 2017 and the disclosure of interest folder is in front of Nolan for anybody who wishes to view that. This particular meeting, and of course you're always able to view that whenever you make that request.
Questions, comments, councillors? No, it's just the tabling of the disclosure of interest returns. All happy to be in favour of the receive and note? Against? Righto, we'll break for Smoker. Righto, councillors, we'll bring our meeting back to order. Thanks very much as always for sharing a wonderful morning tea and the barter that goes with it. And Mr Bell, thank you for coming back and attending too. Thank you. It's always good to have our business people and ratepayers be involved with their meetings. Councillors, we'll move on with our agenda and on page 42, and it's item GOV 73/17, it's Christmas New Year close down, to 17/18. So I'll move in a second to deal with this item, please. Councillor Rogan, I thank you. Seconded by Councillor Murray, and I thank you. And I'll hand over to Kylie to present this report. Kylie.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. So traditionally Council has closed the Administration Officer and Library Office and Library for the period between Christmas and New Year to enable staff to spend time with family. And as per the close down policy, outdoor staff are required to take 10 days annual leave at this time to ensure the majority of staff are available throughout the year to undertake planned work. So the purpose of this report is to advise Council of the proposed Christmas New Year close down arrangements in accordance with the policy. With an officer's recommendation there that Council notes, or that Council endorses the close down periods for the Christmas New Year 17/18 period as follows. Indoor staff closes business Friday the 22nd of December 2017, reopening Tuesday the 2nd of January 2018. With outdoor staff closes business Thursday the 21st of December 2017, reopening Monday 15th of January. Of course, as with previous years, we will have skeleton crews and essential services will not be interrupted as part of.
Thank you, Colin. Councillors, reports there to endorse. No questions, but Councillor Sawyer, yes?
Through you, Mr Mayor. Kylie, it mentions that the outdoor staff are required to take 10 days annual leave. I know it's an extended period other than the up to the 2nd of January. What happens with the indoor staff? Because there's a few more days than just public holidays and weekends in that, right?
So throughout that break, indoor staff are also required to use their leave to make up the balance of any of those particular days at that time.
Can we include that in the wording of the resolution, please, so it doesn't get lost? It's not in the resolution.
Neither so in the recommendation there isn't any reference to how staff will be using their leave provisions through either of those as part of the recommendation. So all we're adopting there is the close of business, I guess, and how staff actually facilitate that close of business, whether it's through a time and lieu arrangement, whether or not it's through an RDL arrangement, annual leave, etc., is up to the individual to find that, I guess.
Well, it just says in the background, as per Council's work closed down, outdoor staff. Maybe we need to say indoor and outdoor staff, or all staff are required. It's not clear.
No, more than happy to note that comment, and that's something too that we can discuss with the review of Council's policies moving forward.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Colin. Councillors all happy to receive a note? Favour? Against? Carried. Councillors, move on to our finance part of our business plan, page 44. It's item GOB 74/17. I'll move in a second, please, to deal with this. Councillor Michael Beckley, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Bronwyn Beckley. And I'll hand over to Andrew to present this report. Welcome to the meeting, Andrew.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The first item that you have here is in relation to council's investments. It's currently sitting at $15.5 million. What's important to note is $1.65 million of that, or thereabouts, relates to the prepayment of the People Assistance Grant, which we received 30 June last year. So as a result, we have $1.6 million more than we might otherwise have had if the normal payment of the fitness assistance grants had been undertaken. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Questions to Andrew further to deal with this? None? All happy to receive a note? All in favour? Against? Carried. Councillors, move on to page 46 in your hard copy. It's item GOB 75/17. It's a posted expenditure report. Move to seconder here, please. Councillor McDish, I thank you. Second by Councillor Murray, I thank you. And once again, I'll hand over to Edward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What you have before you is the spend on capital works as of 30th of June. One of the things I just bring to Council's attention, in the column called September quarter, there were 3 items in the second last column, sorry, second last box in page 4, where there's 3 items at 16,000, 20,000 and 1,000 relating to Julie Park Hall, water treatment plant and mains replacement. Sorry, I've got the wrong ones. Mains replacement, flood warning system in the Shirley Park Hall. They should be in the recommended changes, not in the quarterly adjustments. It's just a lot over. That's clearly the intent coming forward to next month's quarterly review.
Thank you, Andrew. Thanks for pointing out that the typo in the correction. Any questions? Councillors? Councillor McNish?
Andrew, what's a road meter?
Yeah, what it is, it's a measuring device that we utilise on our roads to measure the amount of traffic that goes across the roads. You've probably seen them, look like tapes that go across. The ones that I understand that we have had become inoperable and they have to replace them.
Any other questions, councillors, to do with this report? Councillor Roden?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, through you, Andrew. Just the item under the asset management in red to 17,000. There was no original budget for that. Is that like a replacement of the vendor instruments?
Yes, that's the road meters we were discussing. What happened was that those meters, my understanding, they went to go utilise them and they were beyond repair, so they had to be replaced rather than repaired.
Questions, councillors? Reports there in front of you, councillors. All happy to receive a note? Against? Carried. Councillor 48 in your hard copy. It's item GOB 76/17, report on our loan balances. Once again, can I move and second, thank you, please. Councillor Berry, thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Mike Petrie, thank you. And once again, I'll hand over to Andrew.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's 2 things, I guess, to note out of this report. The first is that currently council is working in line with its loan schedule and all the payments have been met up to date. The other thing that's worth mentioning is, although this number hasn't been officially audited and confirmed, the debt service ratio is $11.75 for every dollar. We have $11.75 for every dollar we owe in loans, which is an improvement on the previous year of $8.90. That, of course, doesn't take into account the anticipated loan for the dam wall, but as at the end of last year, it is expected that the number will be there, that number or thereabouts.
Thank you, Andrew. And questions to do with the report? Councillor Berry.
Very, Mr. Mayor, Andrew. With that 11.75% we've got there, would that include in the previous item we had $1.6 million or something like that given to us? Would that include that? Would that make a difference there? That's what I'm really asking.
Yes, it would have some impact on it because it's obviously the amount of current assets we have to fund that loan.
Yeah. Other questions to do with the report, councillors? Councillors, every quarter when we get to the report, I just need to comment that it is a good thing that councillors are aware that with the money that we have on the borrowed for various projects over many years, it keeps us informed, and that council are in a good solid financial position to meet those repayments, and the other is to borrow more money when we need it. So, and I think they're good reports, and I'm just noting that. Okay, councillors, all happy to receive a note. Against? Carried. Councillors, move on to page 50. It's item RC 17/17. It's First two reports from committees and delegates, and it's from the Audit and Risk Committee, and being on that committee, and with the apology from Councillor Forbes, who also sits on that. I'm happy to move that. Can I have a second, please? Councillor Murray, and I thank you. Any questions, councillors, to do with Audit and Risk with their meeting there? Councillor Bromwich Petrie, yes?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just regarding the workplace health and safety summary, it refers to lost time injuries, but do we also record medical treatments?
Colin?
Yes, we do, Councillor, and they're provided to the Audit and Risk Committee as well as part of that overview, so there's a suite of files that goes with it.
Can we get those, I know you previously reported on the LTIs, which have been, I think we've got over 200 days at the moment, lost 103. Can we also get medical treatments included in in-house council reports? Thank you.
No, not a problem at all, and unfortunately our returns next month will obviously show that we've had some treatment, particularly with an incident involving a water truck, and we've had another injury to a person's one minor injury, but that has impacted on those days, so no longer are we injury free, which is unfortunate. However, they are minimal at this point in time, which is great. We don't present a huge risk in terms of working and safety claims.
Any other questions, councillors? None? All in favour to receive a note? Against? Carried. Councillors, we move on to page 56 in your hard copy. It's item RC 18/17 to do with the meeting that Councillor Peters went to the Northern Table Agreed for Weeds Committee. Councillor Peters is our delegate for that. Councillor, your name on the report. You're happy to move the adoption of that report? Yeah. Second, please. Councillor Brogan, and I thank you. And Councillor Peters, do you want to speak on that meeting?
No, it's pretty evident. I think in my report was the general sort of meeting, mixing of chairs, general meeting, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Basically, same chairs returned where it was, and that's about it, I think.
Thank you, Councillor. Any questions, councillors? Councillor John Fish.
A couple of things, Mr Mayor. So we mentioned love grass and great concern. Is there any talk about making it a noxious weed? Because no, seriously, what I'm saying is a lot of farmers, including myself, try and control our love grass. A lot of our neighbours don't. And we all know how the wind blows. And it's just not fair on the people who try to look after their country that they are, the seed has been blown from neighbours and also not just neighbours, from the road reserves. I'd like to see it become a noxious weed, and I know it's very, very hard to do, but we just can't just let it go the way it is. Secondly, Tom, was there any discussion about fireweed?
No, it wasn't mentioned at all, and I didn't mention it.
Why not?
I forgot about it with enough words, it just didn't come up.
I can see that being a problem. I think I mentioned a few councils when I go to the Sydney, Devon, Gloucester area. The hills are just yellow.
Down the eastern side of this giant council. Oh, Casino Lismore, did you?
I know, I was going home, pulling them out of home, but something is, I think, going to be done there, Tom, down the line too, so maybe foreshadow next time we go on these meetings, you might bring it up and see if we can get some sort of strategy or...
Councillor, to help you there, and with all the experience you have, Councillor McGish, but I mean, I'm happy to be supportive in any way I can with your concern about love grass. Everything's sort of starting point in some way or form that we move, either notice motion or something through this council, as we do, to pursue and to involve local land services, but it's got to have a starting point. Whether it goes to a Shires conference, I don't know, but I'm happy to be supportive of something like that. So into the future.
I guess we are working on some motion at a later date.
Yeah, but we've got to get together and work out where it sort of sits, to pursue such a thing. But coming from the council, I've got no issues with that at all.
Okay, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Verrick.
Mr Mayor, I'd just like to comment on love grass. I'm doing a bit of research for a book. And love grass is causing major loss of habitat in this shire for virtually all our native animals. And I've noticed that in Central Australia, the bloody desert more or less, is becoming a concern there because nothing eats it. Nothing eats it here, nothing eats it out there, so, and you get a fire or whatever, you put everything else burnt down, and love grass the first to come back and go to sea.
There's a start to your notice motion, councillor. You just had to start to it.
I was,
and a supporter. Councillor Pete, Mike Petrie?
I was notified up there at Warwick, I thought one day, a while back there, saying that they've got a new sprayer that's only going to kill that grass. They've got one out here that's, or it's been developed, it's going to spray, it's going to kill that grass on its own.
I would think that in the discussion we're having, I think that local land services has got to be involved with this heavily, because hopefully of the money that they put into their weed control, you know, and council and local land services should work hand in hand, and without getting involved in operational matters, I think we do as well as we can. Excuse me, again. So anyway, but happy to keep going with that. Another comment, councillor?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, several years ago, we had a person stand from our ward for council, and he suggested quite a few things we could do to stop blood grass spreading. We didn't have blood grass anywhere on Mount Lindsay past, say, London Bridge, I suppose, at the time. Now it's right up there. Nothing was done from the Shires, and where they had gravel pits, machine weren't washed down or anything, and now it's spread over a terrific area up there.
Council, I've seen it at Taroom, I've seen it at Kangaroo.
Yeah.
Terrible. Any other comments, councillors, to Councillor Peters as our delegate to deal with this gathering? Councillor Peters, thank you for your continued work there, and it's really important. You've been a delegate on that for a long time, Tom, and I know that you enjoy that part of it, but you have the full support of the council, and hopefully we continue on, and we will never make our council weed free. We all need to work with our neighbouring councils, but it does be a concern when, you know, especially with the recent expansion and amalgamation of our local land services, that weeds is a top priority to do with them. But it goes back to that relationship between our council and the local land services to be strong.
One thing I was disappointed with about the budget, was more than Tableland was pretty meagre.
Yeah, that's at 638,000. Yeah.
Not going to kill many weeds.
No.
We use that up and half.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, councillors, all happy to receive a note? Answer, Karen. Councillors, we move on to our notice of motion, and we're on page 57. In your hard copy, it's item NM 14/17. It's a notice of motion from Councillor Berry. Councillor Berry, you happy being the author to move that notice of motion? A seconder, please. Councillor Sawyer, I thank you. Councillor, I'll hand over to you to present the notice of motion, recommendation. Come on. Oh, I apologise. Good. I'll stop there before we go. Well, I did say at the start of the meeting, and we've had a mover and a second of this, we have a video to do with this. So look to the front, children, and we'll watch it.
So it's just bird sounds, it's as loud as it can go.
Okay.
But doesn't give the birds.
Who done this, Gary?
And it isn't calm.
Oh, with the drone?
Mm.
Okay. So it's recent?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought. There you go. Thanks, Nolan. Okay, councillor, we'll go back and present your notice one.
First of all, I'd like to thank those who spoke for the motion, Tony for sending the footage through. When John Mongard of Mongard Associations pointed out that the Urbanville Streetscape meeting that he has worked from Tasmania to Cape York and has never seen as much potential as Urbanville. In fact, he's late for the meeting because he stopped to photograph the spectacular view of the Tulum Lookout and the pure magic of the rainforest. From Tenterfield and Woodinbong, there's an extraordinarily large amount of natural attractions. At least 8 waterfalls. One of the waterfalls actually squirts water out of solid rock. 6 national parks, including the largest granite monolith in Australia. An amazing amount of wildlife with all types of marsupials, including poles. Virtually a plague of antechinus and possum. Close to 300 species of birds. A number of entrepreneurs have capitalised on this, however there's not the critical mass required to start a major tourist destination. I believe a canopy walk and a rainforest education centre would be the catalyst to start the ball rolling and create some jobs in the area.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor Sawyer, you've been the second. Did you want to speak?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Yeah, I'm more than happy to second this motion. Anything that we can add into our tourism attractions in the area can only be a positive. Hopefully that we'll engage with our surrounding councils to get them on board to do whatever they can to get the case enhanced to get this thing built. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. Any other comments, councillors? Councillor Bromwich?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Yes, a lot of the state forests were transferred across the National Park in the late, in 98, 95 and 98, as a result of the initial car government decision and then the 98 regional forest agreement. And that's going to come up again next year, so they want another chance at it. The townships of Urbanville and Wollongong both lost their mills, as did Drake and Tenterfield. It caused huge dislocation to the Shire and affected the ancillary businesses as well that the agriculture sector also relied on. Has caused a lot of our people in the Shire. I would like to support it fully, but also make the note that given the Dorrigo experience, I think if when they're looking at if we can progress it, that we progress it from the middle, like from Woodinbong, from that side, rather than on the western side, because that makes people have to drive through those towns, which is not the case in Dorrigo. And so to fully support those communities, if we can get the access to come down from Woodinbong down to Urbanville and then into Tulum, go from there.
Thank you, councillor. Councillors, any other comments? No speakers against? I'll go back to you, councillor, for closing comment.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I never mentioned the education centre much in the motion itself, but the education centre and the canopy walk go hand in hand. Up to now, the district has been used by an American university to study marsupials, mainly kangaroos. The area has also been used to study bowerbirds and other birds. I believe sometime in the near future we might even find the eastern bristlebird in that area, one of the rarest birds in Australia. Australian universities in the area have also studied quolls. If ever there's a shire that's made for ecotourism, this is it. With all the points mentioned previously, I believe Tenterfield Shire ranks 17 and Acacia Plateau #1 for biodiversity in Australia.
Thank you, councillor. Just a couple of comments, councillors, with the to note the comments that have been made, and especially Chief Councillor Vernon. I think you remember it's a very good notice motion and something that this council should be involved with. With just the Bell presentation this morning and how much that would bring to this country. With your comments, Councillor Bromwich, with the loss of employment in those 2 villages, one obviously being in Kyogle Shire and the other being in ours, as Urbanville is the second biggest town in our Shire. I think it's really good stuff that this council get involved with in pursuing such a thing, to create a bit of employment, work hand in hand with the national parks and get a bit fair income. And then it involves another argument about roadworks to and from that area. So it's ongoing, And I'm happy to, in the meetings with our state member, to Thomas George, because obviously he'll be correspondence to do with this, and tell him about how fair dinkum we are about this. So I do think it's a really good thing. Did you want to speak, Terry?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. I spoke with Councillor Berry about this on Sunday when we were touring around, and I mentioned it in a staff communique yesterday, which will be sent out today, about how impressed I was with some of the scenery, in particular the scenery around Urbanville, and this is an opportunity to change the patterns of tourism up there to make it more of a destination versus a drive-through, and anything that keeps someone overnight in our shire brings money to the shire, so I strongly support it.
Thank you, Councillor. Yeah.
So just a question to Councillor Berry. You referred to the Dorrigo, it's a skywalk actually, it's not a canopy walk in Dorrigo, it just goes straight out. But what I understood you might be meaning is the actual canopy walk up to Hoon Walk in Tasmania, where you walk off and you end up actually walking up through the actual trees to land up on top, which is a far better experience than just the Dorrigo, we just walk out and look over the whole valley.
O'Reilly's would be a bit similar to Councillor. But can I, all that profit, I'll be on that one, it's very good. That's just what you said.
The one in Ismail, I was talking about, it was similar to what you're talking about, Casey.
Okay, councillors, the report's in front of you, all in favour? Against? Good. Councillors, move on to our last item, page 59. It's to do with the council resolution register. It's item RES 9/17. I'll move in a second, please, to deal with this item. Councillor Berry, thank you. Seconded Councillor Mike Petrie, thank you. And I'll hand over to our Chair Executive Officer, Terry Dodds.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We might deal with the matters by exception. Has any councillor got any question about an individual outstanding resolution?
By all means, Councillor.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just in relation to the letter from the Gundawindi Council, where they declined to participate in the joint council thing on Bruxton Way. I was just wondering what they meant by it duplicates the route of council's preferred tourism route. But if they mean Bruxton Way is the preferred tourism route, then why would they want to be involved? And secondly, they said that not all councils on Bruxton Way have been invited, and so which ones
I'm really pleased, Councillor, if I can comment that you've asked that question, because I was going to finish on that. I spoke to the Gundawindi Mayor, who we have a good relationship, Graham Sewell, I pronounce his surname, and he's been their mayor there for a long time. Bruxton Way, and I apologise to the councillors in that presentation and thank them for the support, but it doesn't go into Gundy, it doesn't go into Queensland. So that's what they're referring to. Where it goes out there and with knowing the road well, obviously we go out of the beauty where we join Inverell, so Inverell's involved. We've had that support from Inverell, which is fantastic. Then Yetman, I would say, still in Inverell, so it is, and then you go to Boggabella, which is in Moree. So we've made a bit of a blue there, and we'll be contacting. I've had just a quick brief with Terry and Andre this morning after the conversation with the Gundawindi Mayor. That's the reason they said it just doesn't involve it. And it becomes the Newell down there then. That's what he said. So I apologise for that. I just thought that Gundy said it stops there. So we need to contact. He seemed to think that Hyder might even be involved, but I think the Gatlin's in Inverell Council. But we'll find out that, because Inverell's on side already. But if Moree are involved there at Boggabella, which they would be, I'll be speaking to Katrina down to Country Mears next week. So I'll pursue that there. So, but thanks for your question, and but that's where they come from, because I thought the same as you, Councillor, and that's what I rang you about, because it hadn't been extended to all the councillors, and when he raised what he did raise, well, I apologise, because I just thought, Gundy, you think driving on the road that goes to Gundy, but then when it comes to Newell, he said, don't go into Queensland. So I'd say once you get through Boggabella and turn off Dead Toomala, I always thought that was the border there.
Now
Correct me if I'm wrong, Councillor Michael, thank you. Is it other side of Byron?
yeah, so we'll probably build right into this in Warriors, sure. That's sure, I bet.
Or Byron?
Why, yeah.
Okay.
Because I remember,
In the same, yeah.
I was at the drop meeting one day, and there was having trouble down Terminal, there were a lot of things going on there, and that was all in that shire there, and I think it goes out to, well, not quite out to Burmah, I think it's more east from there.
Right, so, but we'll do a bit more research and the ones that we missed out on, if it's wider or if it's more, we'll contact them for support, and I'm sure that support will be there because of the involvement with us with our recent formation of the new ROC, which more is in, and then obviously go back to our ROC meeting, because Councillor John Carlton's the chair of that and been a great support of each other in many things, so I don't think there'll be a problem there. Well, thank you for raising that, Councillor. Councillor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Any more developments on the purchase or possible purchase of the Timberfield Saddler?
Yeah, it's ongoing. Thank you for that question. We've had a couple of meetings already with the owner, Mr Brian Melvin. He's come back to us with a price on the building alone. So he has, but we're going to go back because it means more than that. To get a really good, there'll be 3 options. We're going to bring back to council as far as purchasing the trademark to sell things, but it'll be a detailed report when we bring back council. But it's ongoing, and the relationship's good, and he's happy to just keep talking along with that. But he has come back with a price for the building alone. But thank you for the question. Any other questions to? Yes, Councillor Murray.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'd just like to thank GM for the introduction of complaints and work requests. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Ray.
Mr Mayor, thank you. I just have if it's acceptable, a question about Marcus. Can I do that? A little bit of background to do with Tenterfield Tourism. I know some time ago when the changeover occurred, it was quite controversial and divisive at the time. Some time has gone by now, probably around 18 months. So the question is now an appropriate time for council to undertake a review of Tenterfield Tourism? A couple of parts to the review, obviously the financial side, but also the staff, volunteer staff, and whether the tourism push is targeting all the opportunities that may be available. So a full overall review.
Councillor, just to help you there, and I'll go back and I'll take on board what you said. And yeah, bear with me. We'll deal with this, okay, because this is a council resolution. And I'll ask for advice from Terry, procedural advice, and I would indicate that would be a good notice motion to bring back to the next meeting, but I'll come to Terry with that in a minute. But we'll just, you hold your question and that comment, and we'll just finish this one. Okay. So, councillor, is there any more to do with the resolution register? Question to our GM or our senior staff? No? Okay. So, and you're correct, am I going to move in a second for this? I am. All in favour of receiving note of council resolution register? Against? Carried. Okay. Righto. Councillors, that's we haven't got any confidential business, but I'm happy all that's not in our order of business for advice from Terry to do with your comment. Councillor Roden? Yep.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. My suggestion would be, in order that the brief covers everything that the council would like to cover, is that we have a brainstorming session and a workshop to bring far and wide as many questions as we can into the scope, so we can actually come up with a project management plan that enables us to cover everything that the councillors would like to cover. In the last week and a half, I've observed a few things that I've got questions about as well, and in precipitating that may have been a question, I started collecting some information from other tourism areas as well, just in my travels. And what I'd like to do is have a workshop so I can encourage everyone to come up with a list of questions and dot points, and maybe in a two-pronged approach have an audit of what not only what we're doing, but what everyone else is doing as well, and basically look over the fence and see if we're missing anything. But come up with things that, through that workshop that we think we can do better, we're doing okay and we don't want to stop, things we may be doing that we shouldn't be doing, and so on and so forth, so that we can actually come up with a proper and erudite project management plan and end up with a better result of the same, if council would be happy with that.
You happy with that response, councillor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you for raising it. Thank you, Terry, for the response. And once again, because we're in following our meeting procedure, councillors, the advice I'll give you is to come forward with the, you know, it doesn't have to be at the meeting, but with meetings with either our senior staff or Terry, to get advice on such things and a way forward, where's the best place to take that. And I hope that councillors, I know you do, appreciate the advice that our senior staff and our CEO do give us to make it all work, because you are elected to bring such things forward, and I think it's healthy for a council to at least discuss such things before it gets to a meeting procedure part. So I commend you, council, on your question. Okay, councillors, that's the end of our meeting. We have no confidential business. I will close the meeting. We have lunch ordered for 12 o'clock. I thank you for your attendance. The meeting is ended in peace and harmony. Thank you very much.